Hey, Malik, what's it going to take to get things turned around for the fourth quarters?
Just continuing to emphasize the fight and the finish. Sometimes the fourth quarter comes out to really just effort. Like both teams have schemed each other out. You get late into the game, you've seen what the other team is going to bring. Sometimes you just come down and be able to find that extra fight and finish.
Hey, Malik, and kind of just building on that, I think you had mentioned that this was the longest losing streak in, I guess, for you since youth ball. But just kind of get through this bye week, Locks had mentioned, first bye week, he didn't think you guys handled success well, and Dorian Fleming said, the maturity on this team kind of helps in this process. But how would you kind of assess, how the team is kind of, let the main thing be the main thing and not let emotion really drag into preparation?
Yeah, I think the first time off the bye, we're kind of riding a high a little bit, just, winning a bunch of games. And, it came back to bite us. And then this week, being on the opposite end of that spectrum, being on a losing streak, like, one thing that remained was the high energy and high emotions from everybody on the team. Like, there's not really a bad feeling in the building. Like, the energy around the building is still great from, faculty and staff to people, coaches, players. Like, everybody still has high expectations of our team.
Hey, Malik, Coach said earlier in his availability that the bye week was good for you guys to adjust your mentality as a team. How have you personally kind of reset your mind, reset your own mentality for a really big game this week? Yeah, just that toughness piece that we're going to need in the Big Ten. Late in the Big Ten, it's about toughness, especially when you get to some of these bad weather games. It's not so much about scheme. It's about, can I out-tough and out-physical my opponent? So that's what it's going to come down to at the end of the game. And you're going to have to see toughness from every single position on the field.
Malik, what gives you cause for confidence that this three-game losing streak is going to be disposed of this Saturday and you guys are going to come out with great effort and execution?
Really, if you look back on the past 3 weeks, everything that we've wanted to improve on, we improved on. It's just been one phase of the game. Like, we haven't been able to have success with all three phases working together in a while. So I think that complementary football will be something that we'll get back to, being able to help each other out.
Do you guys feel snake bit in the fourth quarter, or it's just a weird, succession of weeks where just a play here or a play there?
Yeah, like you said, it sometimes just comes down to a play. You don't realize it until you look back at the game, but sometimes in that moment where you may be feeling a little tired and you decide to take a play off or not give your maximum effort can be the difference between winning and losing the game.
Finally, Halloween is Friday. Is there a candy moratorium on you guys until the game's over Saturday? Because you don't want to have too much sugar.
Yeah, definitely. I think everybody does a great job. Our nutrition staff will make us something healthy that we can eat that'll still be pretty fun Halloween theme. I was just talking to him about it just now.
Malik, you mentioned trying to fix the little things, and even though it hasn't led to wins, you feel like you've corrected those little things. In terms of that UCLA loss, you get the whole bye week, where are some of those areas in the margins that you want to see corrected to keep that trend going, maybe end up in a win against Indiana?
Yeah, our red zone efficiency as offense, you come away with not just points but touchdowns. That kind of changes the game. We got into the red zone 2 times and didn't have touchdowns on either of those drives, so being able to finish that, and those are kind of the body blows that we need to be able to put opponents away.
With that being the point of emphasis, has practice looked any different while you're zoning in on that, or has it been the same kind of thing that you've been looking at, and the red zone efficiency will come if you do that?
Yeah, we focused on red zone a little bit more just as far as our installs and things like that go, putting some emphasis on the red zone in earlier periods in practice, just that way, walking through it and understand the situation and where we're at on the field and how things are going to happen quicker. The timing has to be better because the windows are going to be smaller because there's less field. We've just been emphasizing really like the detail and the focus of the red zone.
Cool, thank you.
Cool.
Hey, Malik, Coach mentioned last bye week he gave you all individual prescription cards. This time he gave it unit-wise. So I guess what was the quarterback's room's prescription card this past week?
Continuing to play clean, taking care of the football, and then red zone efficiency, like I just talked about that. Some of that falls on the QB, being able to go from that, having that touchdown, check down mentality in the red zone and not forcing any errant throws or anything like that.
And then, evaluating your freshman year so far, what are some areas you think you've done well in, some areas where you think you can improve, and then final 5 games of your freshman year, what do you want to see from yourself to call this season as a whole a success for you individually?
I think one thing I've done pretty decent at is just being able to stay composed in any situation that we're in, whether it's the end of the game or the first drive of the game. One thing I do want to improve is my efficiency, completion percentage, things like that will help our team be able to move the ball down the field some more, and then also being able to step up into the pocket and use my legs, which I started to do the past couple of weeks, but I think it's something that I wish I would have started sooner. And then what was your last question? I'm sorry.
Just as a season as a whole, what do you want to see from yourself to call it kind of a success individually?
For me, it's about team success, really. So even if it's my passing yard stop here, we run the ball every single play, but we're winning games, like I have no issue. I just want to win.
Thank you.
Hey Malik, wanted to ask you a little bit about the actual process of watching film. How is it kind of different at the collegiate level compared to high school?
Yeah, high school was really just, some tendencies maybe here and there. It's not as an extensive of a breakdown, whereas like the collegiate level, because we have so many coaches that work with us and are able to see different things because they've been around for a while, the breakdown's a little more extensive of what teams like to do in the red area and third down and the defensive coordinator and how he likes to play, like stuff like that we just didn't really focus on in high school.
With that level of detail, was there an adjustment, to where you kind of had to grow and get used to, memorizing it, going through it every week, stuff like that?
Yeah, just something that, I had to pick up and getting here in the spring and being able to learn a little bit of it, not so much as game plan just because the season hadn't started yet, but understanding like what it takes to watch film and how we're going to break it down as a team.
Well, we just wanted to follow up on that point you made about using the legs and maybe trying to use them a little bit more early on. As you've kind of progressed and you're starting to use the legs more, do you think that's more of you getting comfortable in the pocket or with Pep's calling for play calls, a little bit of both, or what's led to that change and maybe saying you wanted to see it sooner?
Yeah, we just needed another element in the offense, and that was something in my game that I knew I had, but I just hadn't used up to this point. And it might have been just trying to get comfortable and understand that we have so many playmakers on the edge and be able to get them the ball, but also realizing that I am a playmaker myself and I have the ability to use my legs and make some plays happen downfield. Cool. Thank you.